What's up, everybody? It's your sports book's favorite podcast, a.k.a. the Chad and Cheese Podcast. I'm your co-host, Joel Cheeseman, joined as always, the Bellagio to my Venetian, Chad Sowash. We're recording live from the Fuel 50 booth at HR Tech in Las Vegas, and we are just giddy to welcome Larry McAlister, three-time CHRO and best-selling author to the podcast.
He owns a sandwich shop, doesn't he? MacAlister?
They have great roast beefs. Yes.
That one has 2 L's.
Great
I only have
roast
1
beef.
L. My dad said only the rich one got 2 L's.
Oh, okay. So you had to back off a little bit.
2 L's.
Larry, a lot of our listeners don't know who you are. Give them a quick Twitter bio about what makes Larry tick.
Yeah, so I worked for Fortune 500 companies doing transformation and technology transformation.
Do you want to name drop?
NetApp and Equinix for the last 2 I worked at, the biggest data center company in the world.
Yeah.
And NetApp is now a big cloud company, changing the way that managers and employees work together and completely transforming how HR acts inside a company. And people told me, you should write a book. You should write a book. You should write a book. I was
book?
Okay, I'll write a book.
Okay.
Good idea.
I'll write a book. That's a lot of work, Larry. I'm sure
Talking
we're
into a
already
mic is much easier.
Yes, it is, right? Just transcribe that, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of research that I'm sure you had to do for the book, but you were probably already doing that. Talk a little bit about what researching for the book actually brought out that you just didn't know
Yeah,
before.
that's great. So what I try to do is not make it a research theoretical book.
Okay.
It's called The Power to Transform, a Field Guide.
Okay.
So I want to just tell you how I did it.
Gotcha.
If you know me and you read the book, you're like, that's Larry's voice.
Nice.
I want to, third grade level reading. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And I cheated a little bit.
That's my kind of book. That's my. Were there cartoon pictures as well?
There are some photos in
Yes.
there. You can point, draw,
Coloring
you can
Now
color
we're
it in.
talking.
Yeah.
Now we're
Joel likes a
talking.
coloring book.
So the idea was just to help people say, I could do transformation. I don't have to go pay some big company $1 million to help me do it. And then they leave and you're left with nothing. Just follow this book, follow these 300 pages, and you can do transformation for yourself and put HR on the map.
Yeah. What's the biggest piece of transformation that is not happening today? Because transformation is a very long process.
And
There
a
are
big
many
word.
steps, 300 and some odd pages,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
God's sake.
281.
What 10 pages in there is the most important that just isn't happening?
I think I call it the golden loop.
Okay.
Everything has to be connected. So you come to HR Tech.
Yes.
You go buy a piece of technology, turn it on, and have this idea. Build it, and they will come. They will not come. You have to have an established, digested talent strategy that technology propels. So there's no way you just turn it on. So I say, hey, how do you activate yourself? How do you activate the team?
Yeah.
How do you activate the enterprise? And how do you activate the future? Those are the 4 tenets of transformation. Build technology to go all around that. Fuel 50, I write about in the book.
Yep.
They were our enterprise-wide solution. Everyone in the company felt they could grow during the pandemic from their kitchen table, thanks to technology that supported the strategy and not just something I turned on and said, go get them, guys. And at the time, we were the #1 fastest adopter of Fuel 50.
Yeah. I feel like there's a little bit of a backlash on technology in that there's so much noise. We're here at HR Technology, rows and rows and rows and rows of companies that will change your life.
It's a sea.
I feel like the reaction is, let's just keep our LinkedIn licenses. Talk about the clutter and what companies are facing with that, because I think it's a real problem.
Yeah, I agree with the noise. So generative AI is going to be the fastest and most impactful technology in our lifetimes, probably since fire. The
Are you
problem
saying
is
more than QR codes?
more than QR codes,
Wow.
more than the internet, more than
Mind
your
blown.
phone. So the good news is, wow, you can just go, if you have an AI and an API, you can build a booth here. The question that you have to solve is, you're not shopping around to figure out what people have. What are you trying to solve? What is the problem you as an HR person is trying to solve?
Yes.
Define your problem. Then what I did is I had an HR tech parade. I brought in 16 vendors and said, here's the 3 problems we're trying to solve.
That sounds fun.
And we just
Tech
brought them
parade.
through. It was a tech
Sounds
parade.
more like a circus.
Yeah,
a little bit of
it
a
does.
circus. But one, you're like, oh my God, I don't know anything. Like my mind was blown.
Yeah.
But 2, you get to compare and contrast right next to each other all day long. So that's in the book as well. Find out what you need. What's the problem? These guys don't sell solutions a lot of times.
Right.
They just say, hey, look how cool my baby is. I'm the
Yeah.
founder. Look at my pretty baby. I'm like, I don't care about your baby.
Or
Solve
it's
my problem.
a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, or it's not a priority.
Or a priority,
Yes.
right? So you're like, wow, this is cool. You know, if you buy the shiny object,
Right.
it's going to get dull very fast.
Yes.
If you're solving a problem you've already identified and talked about to your employees and say, now, we talked about growth and your career, here's the tool that's going to help you do that. that makes a much more powerful.
The people you're talking to, are they wanting one solution, one ring to rule them all? Because we see a lot of companies trying to do everything for everybody.
The easy button, baby.
But then obviously we have integrations, and I have my favorite text recruiting solution. I have my favorite chatbot. Is that what people are leaning toward? Or are they looking for the one solution for everything?
You're not maybe next year there'll be more, people coming together. I know a couple of these guys are selling together, 3 different companies selling on the same piece of paper.
Yeah.
But you need a tech stack.
Yeah.
There is no. It used to be go get PeopleSoft in the old days. Those days are over. These guys in this place here can innovate way faster than a Workday or an SAP. So you have to build a tech stack. Absolutely.
So around that tech stack, one of the things that we've seen over the years is that there is so much redundancy because many of these core systems, these applicant tracking systems, they're acquiring companies, they're adding things, and then they still have point solutions that are redundancies.
Yeah.
Is there in your book a point where you say, look, start with a clean sheet, blow this whole damn thing up, and build from the ground up?
Yeah. So you're always going to have your basic HCM, right? Your people data are always going to be there, right? You have to have that.
Record keeping, the things that you have to do.
And what all these companies pull the data from, right? And give you ideas of what to do with your employees. So there's going to be a moment when you're going to say, all right, I have to get onboarding done. You have to do it. You buy the onboarding tool.
Yeah.
It fits into your story. And then a year later, you're like, damn, there's someone better now. You're going to face it.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're going to pick a solution now that's not going to be leapfrogged in a year or two.
Yeah.
But you got to solve the problem today. What is your
But
bigger
we
problem?
don't do that, though. We keep what we've had forever, and we close our eyes, and we say we've got it all figured out.
Luddites.
But tech is fluid. The market is fluid, but these companies have not been fluid. So how much of the time should CHROs, VPs of TA, how much time should they be taking to reassess?
Double what they're doing now.
Okay.
Double what they're doing now.
So 2 minutes.
High five.
High five.
That was just perfectly delivered.
One guy high five.
No, it is. So when I said generative AI is changing the world, it literally is.
Yeah.
And the bots aren't going to take your jobs. It's the people who know how to use this technology are going to take your jobs.
Yeah.
So if you're not thinking of a tech-augmented reality, tech-augmented leadership, tech-augmented organizations, if you're not thinking that, you will be bypassed. Your employees will leave you. Think about people coming out of college right now. They walk into a company and that's old, antiquated HR technology we have to deal with. Like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I have a free app at home that is 10 times faster than this.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to, as HR folks, if you are not an HR person anymore, you are a technologist who sits in the CHRO seat.
Yeah.
So be a technologist, be a transformation expert, start breaking glass. Some of it you're not going to be able to sweep up, but you have to start breaking glass today.
Are you calling for term limits in the CHRO position? Because I feel like that's where you're headed with some of this.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Even boards have to start thinking about what are you doing to move the needle on this
That's the problem, though, I think, Larry, is that our CHROs are looking at themselves as cost centers, not the beating heart of the organization. And when they need to go get that, they need more money to build the tech stack to be able to get the tech or the talent that the company actually needs. They're afraid to go ask, and they shouldn't be afraid. They should be bold, but we're not. Why?
So, because people don't realize we are in the golden age of HR technology. We have caught up to everything else. Remember Salesforce? Everyone went and spent all this money on Salesforce. We can do it now.
Yeah.
Our people technology now is as good as any other technology. And if you're worried about getting budget, then you're worried about the same old stuff you're always worried about.
Yeah.
What's our turnover? What's our time to fill? You can solve all of those problems with generative AI now. So I think the idea is build a strategy, bring in the technology to enable that strategy, and that's true transformation over the long term.
But the problem, I think, though, Larry, is that those metrics that you just talked about, the C-suite don't give a shit about that. What we should be doing is demonstrating how that impacts the bottom line.
Oh, it's so easy to do that now.
Right?
Yes. Fuel 50, I also work with BetterUp.
Okay.
They're able to show, for BetterUp is coaching, right?
Okay.
They show salespeople in your organization who were coached
Yes.
versus those salespeople who weren't coached
Yes.
have bigger sales deals, faster sales
Do they
cycle.
retain?
And they retain.
Less turnover. I mean, and then
they're more productive. You go straight to the
Yes.
bigger revenue.
Yes,
You can
yes.
prove better revenue. How does that not get to the board?
and if you've got less turnover, then you've got less open positions, and open positions only mean lost revenue.
Lost revenue,
And we're not
lost
talking
productivity.
about that lost revenue, right?
HR can now walk into the board and say, I can give us better revenue. I can have more productive innovation and get products out the door faster. We
Hot
can now
damn,
prove
Larry.
that.
Hot
we can
damn.
prove it.
Are they going to have those conversations?
That's the
They
question.
have to.
That's the question.
Yeah,
They
I
have
think
to.
they have to.
So
Technology first, CHRO second. That's
Yeah.
where we are.
back to what you said on skills augmentation. A lot of listeners in the past 12 months have been laid off, whether it's downsizing, right sizing, we're automating your stuff, we're offshoring it, we're outsourcing it. If I'm at home right now, I've been unemployed, I want to get back into the workforce, what skills, what actions would you recommend they take to make themselves much more marketable than they were a year ago?
What if you're laid off? It's about self-care. It's not about you, right? You have to care about yourself. Work out, do stuff for yourself, keep your head straight. It's not you that you're not getting the job. A lot of times it's the company. That's just one. Always focus on self-care when you're laid off. Two is, I have a list that I've sent to 20 laid off people of ways that you can use generative AI to help with your resume, to control your interviewing, to practice your interviewing. You can get, one of the guys who was a recruiter who used to work for me that got laid off, he went and got his prompt engineering certificate. He's like, I'm just going to learn
There's a
how to do.
certificate?
Yes.
Was that a
Prompt
LinkedIn learning
engineering.
course?
It's I'm sure they have it.
I'm sure they have
it. But I think it was out of like Kellogg or Yale or something like that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you have to know what generative AI is. You cannot hide, even if you're just playing around with ChatGPT. There's thousands of them, but
Yes.
no matter what job you're going into, no matter where you are in the world, if you're laid off, you need to understand generative AI and play with these tools and understand what it is.
Bard, Claude, all of them.
Yeah, even Bard's a great one. Just figure it out and get certificated, if that's even a word, in some of these tools, because you can't. No, recruiters aren't looking at your resume anymore. It's a freaking bot that's looking at your resume.
Yeah.
So I had one woman who put a job description into ChatGPT, then put her resume into ChatGPT, and said, "How do I make my resume apply to this more to make me the best candidate? Resume better." What 5 questions are they going to ask me, and how do I best answer
Was
them?
she hired? That's the
She
question.
was.
There you go.
That's the only reason I
There
tell
it
that
is.
story.
There
It's the
it
only
is.
reason I tell that story.
Let's flip the script because you brought that up. Look, there's a lot of news and buzz around new AI tools where I can apply to hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs with my new bot friend. How is the community, the employer space going to react, adjust, evolve to handle this new reality?
If you're faking your resume 20 years ago, you're still going to get called out. So if you're faking your resume now, you're still going to get called out. You can just fake it faster.
Yeah.
So the idea of getting to an interview is still the most important thing, and that's a human interviewing you. So generative AI and technology doesn't replace the human being. It gets you to the human interaction faster and with better data. So you can play around, but once you get to that interview and you're asked real questions, you still have to have the proof.
Yep.
So I think there's ethical stuff we're going to deal with. We're going to go inside and outside of Congress.
Oh, yeah.
There's all that coming.
Oh, we just had the
Pardon me.
EEOC commissioner in this seat.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
They're scared. I saw a lawyer.
A tough act to follow, Larry.
Yeah, I know. I saw a lawyer.
That's one hell of a fluffer.
At a different a lawyer at a different conference just stood on the stage and said, "You're at risk." That's how we started. You're at risk. It's always on you. It's not about the technology. But we're always at risk.
Always at risk.
But I see you have a question.
What's the name of the book again, Larry?
It's called The Power to Transform. And it is a field guide to building a human-centered, tech-enabled work culture.
And that is Larry McAlister, everybody. Larry,
Thank
if
you, guys.
people want to actually connect with you,
Yeah, just come to LinkedIn, LarryMcAlisterBook.com
One L.
or LinkedIn, 1C1L. We're the poor ones. We don't have extra letters. So that's how you can find me. Larry McAlister on LinkedIn's the quickest way.
And I'm guessing Amazon has some.
Amazon has the book?
There you go. There you
Amen.
go. Buy a
Right
used
now.
copy at a discount, everybody. Another one in the can, Chad.
We
out.